Composing Gloves here, and today we are going to talk about the one chord. It is the first chord in our scale. Now, there's a couple things I want you to be made aware of. One, when you pick a chord progression, you pick a scale. And so that scale, until it goes backwards, you actually pick the scale before you pick the chords, but some people think of chords first, so it's this weird thing. But the scale gives you a hierarchy of notes in the system that we're learning. And the chords outline that series of notes. Diatonically, they will outline those notes. And the most important chord you have is the one chord. So we need to be aware of some of the properties this has and the consequences it has and how it can benefit us. So what's the point about this one chord? Why is it such a big deal? Well, let's just move in C major because it's easy, and thinking and drawing up diatonic crap is way more complicated in the piano roll and other keys than it is. So it's easier just to think of all white keys for now. So here's a one chord in C major. And if we were moving in like some other key, it would not be the one chord anymore. But this is our one chord. And so we have sort of a hierarchy of chords, but I want to focus in on just the one chord for right now. So I need to really quick bring up consonants versus dissonance. So some things are consonant, meaning they are pleasing to listen to. Someone plays it and it sounds nice, that sounds nice. That sounds nice. That sounds nice. That doesn't sound very nice. And so things like that are called dissonant. Now, these terms are being used very loosely and they're subject to opinions. So you can't really define it very concretely. It's just a general understood principle. Like people say, oh yeah, I get you, bro, potato chip. And so we can use these things though, because just because something is dissonant doesn't mean it sounds bad. You can add things to make it sound quite nice. And so we need to be aware that we have these tricks up our sleeve. And sometimes the most dissonant things can sound so pretty. Like the pieces that I've played where you have people bawling, there's a couple piano pieces that are 100% consonant that I've seen that are pretty darn impressive. But and they're classics, everyone knows them. But for example, a piece that uses dissonance that I actually got to experience is called Sanctuary by Frank DeKelly, and it's spelled like crazy. It's TECHIK, it's some crazy name. Just look up Sanctuary and Frank DeKelly, just start spelling the T and the rest will pop up. And when you play it live, it's a different experience because everyone in the room's they're listening. And it's just different, okay? And when the band plays it well, I was in the band, man, we had people crying. And what's amazing about this piece is it's very consonant, very flowing, smooth. It's called Sanctuary. But then it has this huge buildup, this enormous rising movement. And it gets bigger. There's points where you're like, this thing cannot get any bigger. It can't possibly get any better or bigger than this. And it's really dissonant, but it sounds so good. That's the part where people are crying. Something about it makes them relate to it. And he is a master of using dissonance and consonants. And that's a really great example. I totally recommend watching it. It's like a 10-minute long piece, but all those pieces are long. And so just go listen to it. If you can see it live with the band that's really good, it's amazing. It's one of the few pieces where I'm people will cry if this is played right. So the one chord plays a fundamental role though, because once we get this really dissonant thing, where do we go from there? Where else is there to go? So we go to the one chord. That's our home base. It's our key. It's the most important thing. When people listen to it, that's what they're expecting to go to. Now, there's a number of other places we could go, and we'll talk about those later. But for now, this is it. So let's really quick give you a couple examples of that. So let's say that we play the 4 chord, which would be F, diatonically. We're speaking diatonically here. So we have F major. This will resolve quite nicely to C major. And I'm going to make these longer. Okay, so we have this going on, and here we go. So it sounds quite nice. Now we can do from G, which is the 5 to 1. So these are very simple, basic chord progressions, and things will naturally pull there. So I could play some more complicated crap. That resolves to the 1. It's just one's great for a number of things. I did a few other things that aren't necessarily tied to the resolution of one, but you can go back and forth between chords. The point is it's the strongest, and I'm just trying to draw your attention to it. And the idea that we're going to use dissonance, and generally you're going to want to resolve to the 1. And we'll talk about the 5-to-1 relationship later. It's a really cool thing. But anyways, hopefully this was informative to you about the 1 chord and what its powers are. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day. And we are going to be doing this. So we're going to be making a wobble bass. I have a demo. Here it is.